Welcome back. It's time for a cross-examination? Indeed it is. An exclamation above me. So you still say you heard the two of them arguing? Well, yes, it wasn't my objective to obstruct justice after all. I realize now it was very, very petty of me to try to, inoculate my reputation in such a way. They did argue, I promise. I tried to be a just citizen. I tried to include as many truths as possible. Is that not noble, Your Honor? Me? Of course. Who would be more fitting to judge me than Your Honorliness? Well, it certainly would have been better for you to tell the truth from the outset. For someone in the same situation as myself, I suppose there is some, nobleness to it. Yes, see? I was justified in my actions. Indeed, I was. Come on, really? See, now that he's under pressure, his, scholarly posture is starting to crack. How exactly did you get a clear view of the balcony? Well, with the simple knowledge of spatial awareness and perspective, of course. Here, let me provide the court with a visual. Upon hearing the shouting and surmising that it came from above, I stepped further out into the garden to observe. The events of that day I etched it clearly into my mind, so I'm pretty sure I was standing there. That checks out, doesn't it? I mean, sure. Well, yeah, I guess it checks out. I don't think there's all that much we can get out of that. Are you sure you were able to see that far up so clearly? I mean, the balcony is what, 3, 4 stories high? 3 stories. Thankfully. So it would have had been at least about 30 feet up, right? It's true, I saw the events clearly. I no longer have any reason to lie. You may not know that these spectacles are only to cure farsightedness. You can see objects that are far away perfectly fine. How were you even able to look through those tiny lenses in the first place? You should not question the ingenuity of an intellectual. Oh, I see. That's why you thought she saw you. Why, yes. It was just a brief glance. In reality, she may not have even noticed me. I was complete, apodictically sure she had seen me at that moment. Just apologize if not for my curiosity. I would have been a much more useful witness. There, it's all right. Why, I remember when I refused to present circumstantial evidence out of what they call foolish pride. Once I did, the case was smooth sailing for me. I'm sure we've all done something similar in our lifetimes. Yes. Was just foolish pride, of course. Sounds just plain foolish to me. You ran home. Well, not quite ran, per se. You see, I simply used the vehicle made for the transport, a car. Well, not quite. Public transport? Yes, I ran home in fear, utilizing the majesty of public transport. More specifically by means of city bus. I ran to the bus. I ran up the stairs into my apartment. My words fit just as well. Is that really what's important here? But wouldn't it have been safer for you to call the police as soon as possible? Perhaps, but the human mind functions strangely under pressure, good Mr. Justice. When did I become good Mr. Justice? I merely thought any further connection with the crime would make things worse for myself. Just because of that your good co-counsel, Mr. Terran, called in before me. Despite when we discovered the bodies. So ultimately, for peace of mind and peace of reputation, I decided to call in with my previous testimony. Do forgive me, good members of the court. Alright, there's to be something wrong with this testimony. Yeah, because Andrea's innocent. Because I'd really appreciate it right about now. Hey Apollo, give me some cool legal tips so I can feel helpful. Look at the evidence. What? Is that really the best you could come up with? Just trust me, you don't want to know what qualifies as cool legal tip back at the office. Cool legal tip? Cool legal tip. Objection! Mr. Sharp, you said that you saw my client push the victim over the railing. I think I pointed this out at the end of the last video, but the fingerprints look more like like there's not a full handprint on them. I would like to know you would recommend this Windows PC to a friend or colleague. Not when you fucking interrupt me in the middle of something, Windows. Oh. What's more is that she placed her hands flat on his chest to do so, correct? Yes? If you take a look at the prints on this lab coat. I don't see any problems with them. Those are her fingerprints. They're positioned exactly where I saw them on that day. That's funny. Testimony seemed to suggest that she pushed him over by placing both hands on his chest. But if you look at the evidence, you see quite clearly that wasn't possible. Fingerprints are way too close together for him to have been pushed that way. Ah! It looks far more likely that the defendant would have grabbed the victim by the coat, not pushed him. So what if the fingerprints are off? It's possible the witness could have just misremembered. It's a small detail after all. Besides, those prints specifically don't have to be from the motion that did the man in. The defendant could have still managed to push the victim off in any number of ways. He would still shove someone off a balcony without replicating the exact motion our witness suggested. A contradiction means nothing. Unless, of course, you have evidence to prove me wrong. Oh, evidence, right. Let's see. Do I have the evidence that proves how the victim had to be shoved? Interesting is that his jacket is bundled. Time to guess and check then. Boss, well, if you look here, you can see that, there's no way the fingerprints check out with, this evidence shows us that, shows us that you have no idea what you're doing. No? It's very useful in determining just what's wrong with your contradiction to our contradiction. You just don't see it yet. This is the only Apollo's first trial. Your insults are throwing him off his game. Please, you'll have to deal with much worse than me. Figure anything out yet, Apollo? Or do I have to keep arguing? Well, you could all please just let the defense explain. What exactly does your evidence prove, Mr. Justice? It, proves nothing, Your Honor. Why couldn't you just said as much earlier? I thought for a moment that Clay was gonna get us out of that penalty, but nope. Yeah, I probably need to think that one over one more time. How the victim had to be shoved. It's not immediately clear, but it could be the autopsy report. Alright. Look at the autopsy report. Is this gonna be a claim that he was pushed from the I think I know where this is going. claim being that he was pushed from behind, sort of fell over, flipped over the railing and landed on his back. It states clearly that our victim fell flat on its back. I imagine it would be quite difficult for that to happen if the victim hadn't been shoved directly in the chest. Ah! The witness says that he saw the defendant push the victim directly in the chest. That would have to be the case given these injuries. The fingerprints don't match at all. That sounds about right, Your Honor. Where does that leave us, then? Well, I hadn't thought of that bit. Something has to be off about the lab coat, then? A lab coat? Wait, that's my decisive evidence. I need it to check out. He's right. I can just cast suspicion on the lab coat. The prosecution loses a lot of its case. Alright, all I need to do is place more doubt on the evidence. What else is wrong with it? We can't check it from this angle, which kind of sucks, but based on what I remember about it, the blood stain might be wrong? I have a feeling we're going to getting to the point where it's inside out. That's wrong. Something else that's bothering me, Your Honor. Actually, now that we got that wrong, let's check this. No, that is right. Bloodstain. It's all over the back of the coat, but there's hardly any on the front. It's completely unnatural. Oh. If you recall this photo. As you can clearly see, how can I put this? The victim's body would have prevented any of the blood from spreading to the front of the jacket. It was on his back after all. Oh, sorry, I just, forgot about that. Come on, you forget things a lot too, don't you, Your Honor? Wait a second. I certainly do, don't I? From time to time, I meant from time to time. Come on, Apollo. I can just cast suspicion of that coat? Alright. Actually, these all seem to have unique responses, so let's see them all. I totally didn't say that because I got it wrong again. Your Honor, not only are the fingerprints off, but we shouldn't be seeing any fingerprints in the first place. And why is that, Mr. Justice? Oh, well, everyone at the research center was a scientist, right? They probably wear gloves, so why would there be any fingerprints? If they had gloves in the research center, then why would anyone commit murder without them? Not your strongest argument, Justice. Apollo? Yeah? They're astronomers. They don't really need gloves all that often. But look, you wear gloves. Mr. Justice. I should have shut my mouth a long time ago, shouldn't I? Yes, you should have. Alright. Alright. Oop. And we're back. Someone's prints are missing. Mr. Payne, forensics checked this lab coat thoroughly for fingerprints, correct? Well, yes. Did you find the fingerprints other than Miss Medina's? Oh, well, no, of course we did. Not easy to find clear fingerprints from fabric, you know. But you didn't even find the slightest trace of somebody else's? No. That just doesn't check out. Your Honor, I propose that the lab coat doesn't just have misplaced fingerprints, but missing fingerprints as well. Missing fingerprints? That doesn't make any sense! Whose fingerprints could possibly be missing? You wanna know who? Then I can tell you. The other person who should have left prints on that coat is the guy who put it on regularly? It's simple. The lab coat belonged to the victim. Why didn't you find any hint of his fingerprints on it? It's his lab coat. It should have been absolutely covered in them. Yeah. But, Mr. Justice, what exactly does this all mean? What does it all mean? If I want to get anywhere with this case, I'll need to see this all the way through, won't I? For one piece of evidence to create so many contradictions. Either my logic is wrong, or something with the evidence is. The only reason I can think of for so many inconsistencies with one piece of evidence is if someone tampered with it. But if I take that line of reasoning any further, I'm probably going to have to implicate someone as well. Considering that the lab coat the police found has the victim's blood on it. Should I really do this? This isn't even supposed to be my case. I'm hardly even a professional. If I mess this up, I could be directly responsible for someone else's whole life. Apollo, come on, it's obvious. But don't back down now. If you have your suspicions, go for them. You already have someone else's life in your hands, don't you? Right, I have to do this. One way or another, someone's already going to have their life changed irreparably from this trial. I'll be fine. Your Honor, I propose that somebody would have had to have tampered with that lab coat. Why, yes, that does seem like the only logical answer. But how would it even be done? You're not trying to implicate me or anything, are you? No, I don't think that's something you would have been able to pull off. Well, the coat would have needed the victim's blood and Andrea's prints on it, right? Both of those would have to have been genuine stuff. What if it's genuine? Stuff like that's hard to fake. Wait a second. The employees are assigned a lab coat to wear exclusively during workout. Ooh. She hadn't left work yet. You could have used that to clean off the sundial. Okay. What if... Your Honor, if the victim's fingerprints should have been all over his lab coat, then it should follow that my client should have been all over hers, correct? What if somebody swapped out the lab coat the victim was wearing with my client's? But who could have done that? Well, I knew this was coming. Here goes Apollo. No turning back now. One of this person who switched the lab coats is... Sharp! I don't have much proof yet. The only one who would have had the opportunity would have to have been an employee. His actions so far have just been too suspicious. Edwin Sharp. You could have pulled it off easily. What? No. That's ridiculous. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Think about it. You're one of the few people that has direct access to the employee lab coats. You would have a motive to frame my client. You believe she copied your research after all. There's no evidence he's done anything. All you've done is prattle on about mere possibilities. Mr. Justice? Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution is right. If the defense proceeds with this line of questioning, it's expected that you'll be able to prove it to me, and everything it will eventually entail. You understand the weight of your accusation, Mr. Justice? Yes, I know exactly where this line of logic leads us. Very well, then. I'd like to call a brief recess. This changes the course of our trial quite a bit. Prosecution? Defense? I expect you both to have your cases reassembled by the time we reconvene. That is all. Alright, Justice. You made it to this far. You can do this. Everything's fine. You're fine. Sir Justice. Hey! Sorry. I didn't mean to startle you. No, it's alright. Were you going to say something? Oh, I just thought you were doing a really good job. Hold on that. That, could have sounded better. Good Sir Justice. Your efforts on this fine day seemed as finely arranged as the life-giving stars. I wish upon you my greatest thanks, with as great an intensity as the sun's heat itself. You're welcome. I didn't really do that good a job, did I? Well, it sort of seemed like it to me. Really? Thanks. Where's Sir Clay? He's technically still a witness for the prosecution, so he was forced to go to the prosecutor's lobby. Probably sneak back in here first chance he gets. Why? I was just thinking, if he'd heard you question yourself, he'd probably yell at you for it, right? Yeah, you're probably right. Do you want me to yell for you? Oh, no, it's fine. Oh. I kinda wanted to yell. Let her yell. I mean, if you really wanted to. No, never mind. I wouldn't do it, right? Okay. So, do you mind if I asked you a few questions? You didn't really have time to talk before considering, well, you know, two of us being utterly abandoned. Yeah, that. Ow. Go ahead. Alright, let's see, where am I even supposed to start? Can you tell me a bit more about the situation with your research paper? Oh, really? Yeah, that seemed pretty important. Oh, well, if you really want to know, then, well, we're collecting data on foreign stars looking for any potential variation in each of the methods of nuclear fusion, especially for variations in the creation out of fusion energy. The measures of them are comparing the data to our set made for the adaptation of the energy field, of course. What else is being looked at? Sorry, I thought it was humanity to keep the data collected. Maybe because I had the research center, the best from research center level of it. Maybe I had to the Condos Research Center over there. It's like, what's amazing, frankly, I've never seen anything like it. Just look at my head, wow, I'd kill to have something like that at a research center. Really, it's... What is it? Just don't say that. Especially not now. What did I... I knew I should have known better. Let's just say... it's a work of divine importance, necessary for decoding the secrets of the ethereal universe. Look, you can try and sound as cool as you like. It's not going to change what you've already said. Trust me, I have experience. Oh. Actually, I was kind of asking about, you know, the paper's relevance to the case. Oh, of course. It's alright. I mean, after a ramble like that, I doubt your work with a product would be the product of any sort of plagiarism. Right? Of course not. Well, I feel better with confirmation on that much. I'm not sure where that leaves us with Mr. Sharp's motive, though. Sir Edwin, it's always been peculiar, but I think he actually... he's our most likely suspect right now. At least I hope he is. You know him better than I do. Can you think of any reason he might have, well... No, I can't see why he'd make such a big deal out of my silly research paper. Yow. Sir Justice? What's wrong? It's fine, I'm fine. Fine, you're just quite out in pain. No, I'm okay, really. Just my bracelet. Your bracelet? I don't know, it just squeezes around my wrist sometimes. It's just getting too big for me. I just moved my wrist at a weird angle. You know, something like that. What are you hiding? Come on. Haven't I made enough of a fool of myself already today? How long have you been wearing it? Well, great, now I get to look like even more of a weirdo. As long as I can remember? That's... strange. Even she's speechless. Can I have it? Well, I was wondering if I could just observe it for a while. Try to figure it out. Doesn't have to be now. Maybe sometime later. Oh, yeah, I guess that's okay, as long as I get it back. See if I can find a good time to hand it over to you. Maybe it has something to look forward to if I can get you out of this mess. Alright, I can do that. Hey. Apollo, is something happening? Oh, Clay, when did you get here? Never mind that. I'm here now. Just give me a moment, will you? I need to catch my breath. Events, the reasons it ended. Please proceed to the courtroom. Alright, time's up. Let's go. But how did I just got here? We're now convened for the retrial of Miss Andrea Medina. Trust the defense and prosecution have fought over their positions on this case. Oh yeah, right. We were supposed to do that. Prosecution's plea has not changed, Your Honor, as you no doubt expected from me. What about all the inconsistencies I pointed out? Now, don't sell me short, Mr. Justice. You can see that the lab coat was likely swapped. Not for any of the nefarious reasons the defense implies. At least not for my witness. Afraid her real fingerprints would implicate her if the murder had been discovered. The defendant swapped her lab coat on the victim. Sure, her fingerprints were all over her own. By swapping them, her defense would be able to point out a convenient contradiction. Maybe she could have even tipped off her defense attorney if things had gone sour. Who knows? She wasn't planning on the body being found after all. Think of it as an insurance, just in case something like this happened. It is plausible, right, Your Honor? Well, I guess that could be a possibility. I think somebody's reaching just a little. After swapping the coat, she carried the victim to the car. And she used his own lab coat and the nearby water source to wipe off the bloodstains. Well then, where would she have hid the victim's lab coat? She couldn't exactly go back inside the research center with it, considering it be covered in blood. Don't you worry, I assure you I found quite the lead. While in the lobby, I took the time to ask my witnesses a few questions, and discovered that during the drive out of town, Mr. Tarrant's car was acting strangely. Well, yeah, it's an old car, and acts up from time to time. As you can see, Your Honor, that a witness doesn't deny the fact. Wait a second. I think it's possible that our defendant disposed of the evidence by stuffing it inside the inner workings of the car. Our investigators didn't check there, after all. We had no reason to suspect anything at the time. That explains why the car would have been acting up at the time. I've already assigned forensics to look for it, or any traces that may be left behind. Quite confident, aren't you, Mr. Payne? Well, I like to stay on top of things. Well then, if the court doesn't mind, I'd like to move on to more testimony. I have talked at length with my previous witness, and he's found a way to cast doubt on the defense's accusations. Very well, as long as you keep it concise. Well, Mr. Sharp, if you would come take the stand again, please. Here as requested, good sirs. As you all recall, the defense has made quite an accusation against your character. Tell me, Mr. Justice, do you really think this witness went so far as to plant and conceal evidence? Because of this plagiary scandal alone. Would I be wrong in asserting that the defense believes my witness was driven by more than just his client's actions? Can't deny the possibility. I knew it. I knew he was trying to pin it all on me. Well then, witness, I think it's best we dispel that possibility first, don't you agree? Yes, of course. Right away. Here we go. Well, I couldn't have done it. It is true I had impetus to frame Andrea, but to kill my employer for no reason, that's just preternatural. Never went to the balcony that day, much less for murder. Besides, I wouldn't set up such a capricious murder. There'd be far too many opportunities to be noticed. For instance, your friend, Mr. Tarrant, was in the lobby while the whole affair occurred. Would have had to empty the car's trunk to hide the body. He should have noticed me sneaking in, no? Tell me now, do you think any of my rationale unfounded? Well, there is one thing that's bothering me. Mr. Sharp, why would you need to ferry the contents of the car back inside? Wouldn't it have been safer to avoid going back in altogether? About that. Like my co-worker, happened to lack possession of a certain enablatory item used for means of personal transport. You mean you can't drive? Not that I can't drive. I just happen to live in the city, so it was more... Now, Mr. Sharp, there's no shame in not being able to drive a car. They do have a lot of complicated new thingamabobs these days, don't they? Well, I've recently gotten to the age where I just can't keep track of it anymore. No, Your Honor. I'm sure I would be able to drive perfectly well if I cared to. But there's no need to be. I'm not some adult old man like you. I'm sure I have much greater propensity for... What was that just now, young man? Let's not get caught up on something so trivial, please. The point is, it would have been difficult for our witness to get anything off the crime scene. And of course, our investigators made sure the scene of the murder was thoroughly searched. So by that logic, he had to sneak all of Andrea's stuff back inside. Or be innocent of the matter, yes. Right. I guess it's not gonna be that easy. Come on, Apollo. We've come too far to give up now. Just get this guy under some pressure, and he's sure to slip up somehow. Right, it wasn't that hard to trip him up the first time. Well then, let's see it happen again. Alright, let's do it. There'd have been some sort of reason. Was there any bad blood between you and the victim? No employer can be perfect, no matter how good-natured or skilled they can look on paper. Did you discover anything you didn't like about your boss after he hired you? No, not particularly. You see? Not everyone has experience like that. I can say that we prosecutors are employed under a very talented and just head of department. Who, let it be known, I have very few problems with whatsoever. I can't decide which of these two is the more desperate. Yeah. You have any way to prove that? Well, you see, the nature of proof is a fickle thing. We first need to consider what we would mean as proof. Evidence. Yes, evidence, Mr. Justice. We're waiting to see evidence that casts doubt on the witness's testimony. It's not the witness who we're expecting to see it from. There's something so wrong with his statement. Show us something to prove it. Right. No, I don't. I'm not going in yet. No, I'm not seeing anything in the court record that would help. That's just to play it safe, I guess. Ha! No answer defense. Why am I not surprised? Just give it some time, I'll come up with something. Hopefully. Your previous testimonies are anything to go by. Well, I wouldn't exactly expect you to have a flawless murder plan. My previous testimonies are anything to go by. Ah, of all things. Not the kind of person you are. Are you going to keep on nagging me for all my little mistakes? I don't exactly call them little mistakes. Not stupid. I would have known people were in the lobby. Do I have to prove myself to you? Whoa there! Come on now, Mr. Sharp. Don't let the defense get under your skin. He's just trying to make you slip up again, that's all. Ah, I knew that. Let's get back to your testimony, please. Right, of course, let's see. How do you know that for sure? Well, it's elementary. I noticed him just before I left the building and waltzed on to the murder scene. Doubt if this was the first time he'd done this. Frequent at the center. Precedently. Just a matter of noticing a few details. Even I wouldn't make such an oversight. Even I. Huh? Well, you know me, completely absorbed in the heat of smart ideas. Intelligent intellectualisms? Shrewd schemes. Yes, both of those. Both of those are beyond apt. See, you two are quite talented yourselves. I'm sure were the occasion different, we could all get along quite well. Sure. Would have had to empty the car's trunk to hide the body. Alright. Must have had some sort of opportunity. Is that so? Anything at all that's indicated I had the opportunity to sneak into the inside unnoticed? Yes, actually. Actually, Mr. Sharp, I think there is. Well then, what is it? What proves I had that kind of opportunity? We don't actually have any record of Clay's testimony, which kind of stings. So we're just gonna take a stab in the dark and present Clay. You may not remember it, Mr. Sharp, but you had the perfect opportunity to sneak inside. In fact, covering up the murder could have been easy. Were you paying attention earlier during this trial at all? Were you too caught up in trying to work out what excuse you cobbled together into a testimony? Yeah. What exactly are you getting at? Think back to the very beginning of this trial. She was ferrying everything to the trunk at first, and yeah, I wasn't keeping too close an eye on her. Later, she realized she'd lost her research notes, and we spent most of the time trying to find them. Yeet! It was any time to sneak back inside. It would have to be when Clay and my client weren't watching. They were too busy looking for her research to notice anyone. Wait, hold on a second. Even if he did have the opportunity, you haven't proven anything at all. Besides, how would he even know he was safe to go inside in the first place? Well, he'd have to take the risk one way or another, right? And waltz straight inside with incriminating evidence in his hands. I don't think any of us would be insane enough to try that. He's right. Come on, Justice, think. Just prove he had some kind of knowledge of their search. Any sort of connection between our suspect and this opportunity could be huge for us. What's wrong, Apollo? Need more information. There's no way we can prove he'd know about the search with what we have now. We're not gonna get any good testimony out of this guy, that's for sure. Andrea should know the most about what happened when you guys left the front lobby, right? Yeah, that might work. Mr. Payne. Yes? If you're not satisfied with the window of opportunity the defense has shown you, why don't we learn some more about it? I'd like to request that Miss Medina testify to the court about what happened at the time. But Mr. Sharp is innocent like he claims, and there should be nothing to worry about, right? Alright, very well then. If the defendant could please take the stand. Alright. It's hardly necessary at this point in the trial, but for formality's sake. Name and occupation, please. Andrea Medina. And, destiny has led me onto the astronomer's path. Miss Medina, just before you left the scene to go stargazing, Clay said you'd lost your research notes. And you spent a good while trying to find them, right? That's true, Sir Justice. Can you testify about everything you noticed during that time? Any details you think of would help. Need as much information as possible. I'm not sure what I can say will be all that useful. I was, as dazed as someone who, was gazed into their distant future, thrown into the chaos of the universe. A shaken shout of the starry sky, afraid of where its guidance would lead. It's okay if you were kind of freaked out at the time. Apollo, don't put it so bluntly. Sorry? You see, Andrea, what he's trying to say is, don't worry about the circumstance, just retell the events as you remember them. We'll call you out if anything you say doesn't match the facts. If we find an inconsistency, we'll figure out exactly what caused it. And hopefully will lead us somewhere useful. Alright, I'll tell you what I can, Sir Justice. Alright, let's do it. I was nearly done getting the stargazing equipment in the car when I realized my research was missing. Mr. Orion had been really enthusiastic about my work, so he'd made it kinda hard to get access to. I think it was about 8:07 p.m. when I realized I couldn't find it. I found Sir Clay near the front lobby and he helped me, put my thoughts back into an arrangement as stable as the constellations above. We went through the whole building several times, but we couldn't find the faintest trace of my research. The only way to give up. Sir Clay wanted to get my mind off of it, so we left immediately after. Uh-huh. Clay, you were there with her. Does that sound right to you? Yeah, pretty much what I remember happening. Rest assured there'll be nothing you can prove with this testimony. Allowing a witness to know we can rest easy. This will all take care of itself in due time. Hey, I'm gonna prove something. Oh, and just what is that? I have to do the cross-examination first. Oh, look, your defendant is truly inspired with confidence. I'm sorry. Gonna figure this out, I promise. swear by the stars and all that, you know. Sir Justice, if you try to swear by the stars, you have to sound more mystical when you say it. More convincing that way. Right. I swear by the ever-distant stars that I will use your sacred words to prove my case to these, putrid people? Instant forget mode activate. Ooh, I bet I can do better. I want to try. Can we just move on to the cross testimony, please? Yes, let's. Right away, Your Honor. All right. Was there any particular reason you decided to check on your research? And it's not like you just keep it out in the open, right? No, I just wanted to check on everything before I left. Suppose it was just a whim of fate. So you didn't need to bring your papers with you for stargazing. Oh, no, not on this occasion. It was just for another very scientific endeavor, right, Andrea? One that was certainly worth, you know, me using the Space Center's car to drive you out there. No? It was just a recreation. Hey, take that back! Oh? Oh! Yeah. I was also working on another project for, later down the line. For whatever strange reason, I have a feeling I shouldn't ask too much about that bit. It was totally just a recreation. Aw, it's adorable. They're adorable. Must have been pretty proud of it then, huh? Well, only kind of. Is that all? Details, remember. Oh, sorry. The work of mine was only the first star in an arrangement. First of my 12 labors. It was merely so he could be recognized as a comet among the night. To give me access to tools that would uncover the darkness. Setting me on a course to endeavors true to my fiery core. That... oh my. That was better, right? Well, yes, of course. It sounded very fanciful. Oh, that's so good to hear, Your Honor. I was starting to think nobody would be enamored by my performances. Yeah, good job. It's an awfully specific time to give us. Didn't you tell me to give as many details as possible? Well, yeah, I guess. Should I have given more somehow? I don't think I can remember the exact seconds. Actually, can you tell us how you knew the time so accurately? Oh, well, if you look at the layout of the research center, there's a, gold-plated instrument from the time the sky was unknown, used for the foul means of murder. Huh? I, used the sundial to tell the time. Oh, got it. That was important, wasn't it? I guess it could be. Here, I'll add it in, just in case. Isn't it kind of odd that you could remember a detail like that so accurately? 8 to 8:10. Well, me and Sir Clay were about to go stargazing. Wanted to keep an eye on the time so that we could get the best view. There are a lot of different factors that influence what you see. I could get into it, but I don't think the court would be very interested. The point is, it was something I was keeping track of before I noticed my work was missing. So I wasn't so, stressed out at the time. Yeah, that. I guess that makes sense. I said did you need to go get Clay? For help? I said it in the testimony just now. Yeah, but was there any reason in particular? Now, I think it's obvious enough. There's no reason to badger your own client. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I was getting all the details. What detail could you possibly be missing? I don't know. I'll take whatever bone I can get thrown at this point. We'll develop some standards. We'll develop some standards for all of our sakes. Yes, sir. Meaning helped you get yourself back together so you could begin your search, right? Well, in a more blunt manner of speaking, yes. So you've been pretty upset to lose your research, then? Well, yes, I don't think it was my best work. A lot of effort went into it. I didn't want to lose it. Yeah, Apollo, imagine losing your last few months of legal training. It'd be awful, wouldn't it? Can I plead the fifth on that one? Did you notice anything else that seemed out of place? Anything at all? Out of place, out of place. Well, we were kind of in a hurry, so I didn't really have my eye ready for detail. Everything seemed in place enough. Huh. So I'm gonna have to point out something more directly to spur her memory. Something else wrong? Something else wrong? So you didn't place anything else in the trunk afterwards? No, sir. Most everything was already in there before I realized my research was gone. Or, as far as I knew anyway. She seemed pretty bothered, so I thought we shouldn't stick around much longer. You know, to get her mind off of things. I'm sure she was more than happy to acquiesce. To acquiesce? That's not how you spell acquiesce. Considering she's recently stuffed a body inside that very trunk. Hey! We don't know that for sure. Yes, I suppose you're right. If the defense's questions keep yielding pointless details, I'm sure we'll gain a little more certainty. Just wait till one of my research questions proves something. Something up? Distracting my brain for anything that doesn't seem right. Her testimony mostly checks out with what I know. I mean, we probably want her to be telling the truth. Ideally, we find some way to connect Mr. Sharp to this whole thing. Man, if only I double-checked the trunk. It's alright, we'll solve this case one way or another. Right, we'll be fine. Okay. Oop. Oh. Windows doing strange things. I don't know where this is going, but the problem's gotta be with the sundial itself, right? Objection! Miss Payne, I'm afraid that's just not possible. Let's look at the shadow the sundial casts. You could tell the general time, but exact minutes, I don't think that flies. Are you sure it was the sundial that tipped you off? Guess it couldn't have been, huh? Oh, I remember now. It's my phone. I knew the time because I checked my phone. I must have just misremembered. I was keeping an eye on the dial at first. That's why I'm confused. Yeah, that's it. Did you check your phone for any particular reason? Yeah, actually. I'd gotten a text message at the time. A text message? That's a weird thing to forget. Who was it from? Well, it's kind of... Well... What is it? You know, it's funny. You don't seem to remember. Andrea? What are you hiding? What do you mean? You can tell too, can't you, Apollo? Something's up. Yeah. Miss Payne, are you sure you don't remember? There's a chance, however small the detail, that this could help your case. You need to tell us. You're right. I should. The text was from Sir Edwin. Mr. Sharp! Hey! You're just bothering me about the plagiarism accusations, that's all. Why didn't you mention this earlier? This could be huge. Well... It directly connects him to your search. Just submit your phone as evidence and the tide will immediately turn in the defense's favor. Miss Payne? I can't, Sir Justice. Why not? It's not in the cards. Fate says. Come on, drop the act. This could help you get declared innocent. I'm sorry, If you lost your phone, just tell us. I deleted the message. Excuse me? Why would you do that? It's exactly what we need right now. I didn't know how important it would be at the time. It was pestering me and I didn't want to deal with it, that's all. I did get the message. I swear, it was him. Sure you did, Miss Medina. It would be awfully convenient to have received it after all. Oh, but wait. Isn't it just a little suspicious that you didn't testify about receiving it in the first place? Just because I knew this would happen. I'm not lying. Your Honor, I don't see how the defense has proven anything with this testimony. Uh-oh. Except its reliance on the defendant's lies. The prosecution is right. I'm afraid I can't accept the defendant's claim, especially considering the circumstance. I'm not quite sure I like the implications of the defendant telling such a lie either. No, Your Honor. I can prove it. There's got to be some way to prove it. Anything. Come on. Is there anything? Anything at all? Your Honor! Ah, right on cue. My, what's this? Play the test asked for by the prosecution. The tests? Right. It's possible that our defendant disposed of the evidence by stuffing it inside the inner workings of the car. Investigators didn't check there, after all. We had no reason to suspect anything at the time. It explains why the car would have been acting up at the time. Already assigned forensics to look for it. Any traces that may be left behind. Like already? Do, go right ahead. I had to take apart some of the car, but we found traces of a bloodied lab coat inside it, sir. Oh my. It appears the prosecution's hunch was correct. Well. Would you look at that? Another fine job on my part, Your Honor. Please tell me they put that card back together. It's not technically mine. I was hoping for something a little more helpful right about now, honestly. As for the prosecution's other request, sir. Other request? Why, yes, Your Honor. Well, the defense has been failing to prove any of their claims whatsoever. I asked forensics to look into something that could support mine. I checked the fingerprints on the handle of the door that leads out to the balcony. We didn't find any fingerprints belonging to Mr. Sharp, sir. I did find those of both the victims and the defendants. Uh-oh. Oh, no. What's more, the balcony isn't used very often. Why, of course, it's hard for astronomers to get a good view of the sky so close to the city, after all. Coating of dust still remained in places on the doorknob. Ah, so you see, there's no way the fingerprints could have been wiped. Wait a second. I think this makes my case abundantly clear, Your Honor. Especially considering the defense's recent failings. Yes, I'm inclined to agree, Mr. Payne. Wait, Your Honor. Give me a little more time. The defense needs time to respond to the prosecution's new evidence. We've given you ample time to reinforce your stance, Mr. Justice. Consider this, Your Honor. The defense's miraculous second suspect was nowhere near the murder, where the murder took place that day. What's more, when he gave the defense an opportunity to prove his connection to the murder, the defendant added a convenient detail that she didn't even testify to in the first place. Has this case gone on long enough? Need I go on? What about everything I've proven? Proven what? A couple of possibilities. I've explained them all away with this evidence. My fingerprints are only on the door handle from when I was looking for my research. I didn't murder him. I didn't murder Mr. Orion, I swear. I think that's enough from you. No, wait! Please! There's more I can tell you. I think you should just let your attorney speak for you from now on. Come now, Mr. Justice. Surely there'd be something wrong with my argument if she was innocent. I don't have the slightest idea what to say. Think, Apollo. There's got to be something. Obviously, the case was under my control just a moment ago. How'd I let it turn around on me so quickly? Speeches, I see. Your Honor, I rest my case. Surely remarkable and fitting of the standards of our newly improved prosecutor's office. Wouldn't you say? Why, yes, you have done quite a good job by your standards, Mr. Payne. Well, of course I have. I don't think I've done such a fine job in years. The verdict, if you would please. Huh. Oh, no. Oh, hello. You, prosecutor. Not me! Can I ask you a question? Let's say you like your coffee pure. In fact, it's superior that way. Are you still so little of a man that you'd say a brew poisoned with sugar or milk isn't coffee? Ruin as it may be, you can't ignore the fact of the matter. And you can't ignore our defendant either. Right, of course. But, Godot? Huh. It's a sniveling, lukewarm excuse for a prosecutor actually posing a threat to you. Somehow you're even more inept than I thought you were, kid. Even at a constant boil, a bad blend can't escape its inferiority, I suppose. This case is only such a wreck because you didn't show up on time. You've hardly taught me anything. What did you expect would happen? You certainly shouldn't have needed to be bailed out. Not in a case like this, and not to a prosecutor like that. This world stops for no one. You can't adapt, you can't survive. Hey, what do you think you are? You can't just throw out some fancy proverbs around and expect me to let it slide. What kind of ridiculous expectations do you have? You should have at least been here in the first place. I recommend you keep the extra one on a tighter leash, kid. Those types are liable to say something stupid. Excuse me! Mr. Godot. Ignore the appetizers, old man. I'm here now, aren't I? But don't chain yourself up with hesitations, Your Honor. Whose name is listed on a defense attorney for today's little courtroom bout? Why don't you tell me? Why, it's yours, but... So are you going to let me construct my case or not? Well, I guess. Good old man, that's what I'd like to hear. If you're going to get anywhere in life, you're going to need to learn when to stay in line. That's one of my rules. Apollo, you can't let him take over the case like this. This has to be some kind of sick joke. This guy's not actually your boss, is he? Your boss is supposed to be, like, really good, right? Well, yeah. The court could please stay focused for more than a few seconds. Defendant, just before I came in, you mentioned something about having more to tell us, didn't you? Well, not really sure if it'd be all that helpful, so... Try as you might, little lady. If you were to sneak the slightest bit of sugar amidst my cup of bitter darkness, I would no doubt notice. Now, why don't you make this easy for me? Am I going to have to pour every little detail about this case right out into the light? Your Honor, is there any way Sir Justice can, maybe take the case back from? My office isn't going to bear another blemish on its record just because you can't stand the heat. Give the case to the kid, and where are you? Right back to that oncoming guilty verdict of yours. I would think you have enough sense not to risk that much. Well, Miss Medina? Just as long as I don't have to say anything else. Alright then, I can make this work. I heard a defendant here mention that at one point that kid suspect sent her a text message. Am I correct? That was merely a lie on her part, just to save her own hide was all. A wise man laps up every last drop of every last cup. You'd do well to remember that, curtain hair. Curtain hair? Kid. Yeah? Let's make something out of the mess. Why don't we? You want to stay hired? Sort of. An actually talented lawyer can use evidence for much more than just one convenience. A text message leads to a much more useful conclusion if you can just extrapolate a little further. Why don't you go ahead and show the court where it leads before I finish this cup? It's not really that complicated. I bet even that prosecutor could manage. That's pretty much your speed, isn't it? Wait a second. You can't just... Don't bother, Clay. But... Already tried. Better get to work, kid. Alright then, what else is that text message supposed to tell me? Andrea was expecting a message, Sharp wasn't at the center, Sharp knew about the research. Mr. Sharp needed an opportunity to cover up the murder, then why send the message to Andrea? Unless he knew it would keep her busy. Somehow Mr. Sharp must have known that her research was missing and tipped her off about it. And just how did he know that? Maybe he might have taken it. I mean, Clay and Miss Medina never found the research, did they? If he had them for himself, it would be a perfect way to keep them distracted. I can't think of anything else that works in this scenario. Close, but I'd wager you're missing a detail. You can't see the forest from the trees. You won't know how it grew to be there in the first place. If I heard correctly, the defendant let something slip a bit earlier. It made it kind of hard to get access to. You heard that? Just how long were you sitting back and watching me struggle? There were only 2 people who would have had easy access to our missing research. Our sweet little missing evidence is dear creator and its strongest supporter. Who now? Who now? Who now? The defendant and the victim. So kid, who exactly could have helped Word Boy here find what he wanted to get his hands on? Defendant and victim, neither. Victim. Well, my client had any part in it. She wouldn't have any reason to have desperately searched for her research papers. It sounds like Mr. Sharp couldn't have gotten them on his own. Is that the conclusion I've been heavily hinted to come to? It would have to have been the victim, right? Alright now, easy question. Show us a reason why. Why? Next video, kiddo. We have to let this one brew.